I was 24 years old. I had never thought of getting into business. It had never crossed my mind. But the circumstances at the time made me start thinking of getting into business. I was pregnant and I was going to have a baby soon. I was, I think, around 6 months at the time. When I saw how busy my ex-husband was in the corporate world, I immediately didn't like the whole dream I had of getting into the corporate world. I started asking myself questions like, when will I get time to raise my children? When will I get time to take care of my home? So when we started looking for a decorator, that's when I got the passion for decorating events. And I saw the niche immediately because I did not see the type of decor ideas I have. I didn't see them in the market at the time. So after the wedding, I expressed this to him at the time and told him this is what I wanted to do. He was very supportive. I myself looked for someone to train me in it, but I couldn't get, there were no schools at the time. So I decided to go to City Market. I looked for a vendor who was doing the flowers at the time, approached them, told them, hey, I want to buy some flowers and I also want to learn how to make these arrangements. Could you kindly teach me? And they were very gracious. They told me this is what you need. They took all the materials that I needed, costed them, I paid for them, then they showed me. So with that one arrangement, I bought more flowers and went home and started practicing. And as I practiced, I also continued to do the research. Also started researching on the type of linen I want at events. I started buying the fabric, borrowed a sewing machine from my mother-in-law then. She was gracious, she had one she wasn't using. So I started practicing. I like using my hands. I'm an artist. I like designing with my hands. So I didn't want to go into getting what was in the market because I already didn't like it. So what I was doing original designs. And one day, my ex-husband calls me from the office and tells me, hey, you've been doing all this research and I have this person who has a wedding in a week's time. Do you think you can do this as a start? And I didn't feel ready. You know, I felt like, no, I wasn't practiced enough, I wasn't researched enough. But then he told me, look, they really need someone and the time is short and I know you can do it, just take it. I reluctantly did. And that was, I think, a good decision because I did the event and it was really nice. They were very happy. They thought I'd actually been doing this for quite some time. The event was a very small budget at the time, 10,000 bob. and I can't even remember how much I made out of it, but it was a start. And from there was no looking back. They told another client, you know, it became word of mouth, actually grew out of word of mouth. And with time, we bought tents and chairs, but I was managing, so I started managing the tents, chairs, and also doing the design and the decorating. So it wasn't an easy job because an entrepreneur, when you're starting out, especially the way I started out, it was more of bootstrapping. So I was bootstrapping the business. So I was a manager, I was the accountant, I was a designer, I was the one meeting the clients. So I was, you know, I was all over the place. But at the time, I had time to be able to take care of my children. I was meeting that goal of being able to be there for my family. But it grew because people liked the signature of my work at the time because the business revolves around the designer, especially when it's a small business like that. So we got into the tent business and also the chairs and the decor. Then we also started expanding. We got an idea of having a transparent tent. So we actually made one locally. It was the first one before anyone started importing it. And that one was it was a very tasking time for us because when you do a new product, it's, you know, when you're doing the manufacture and you're doing the design and it was very hectic because the local market, the local fabricators, it's something new to them as well. So you'd find that there are always changes being made. If it rains, then we have to think, okay, we have to strengthen this side or that side. So it was really stressful. I honestly didn't like the whole tents side. What inspired me and what I loved doing was design. That was, the company at the time had been started by me and my ex-husband. The marriage wasn't working. We were not getting along. We had irreconcilable differences that I tried the vumilia, like everyone says, you know, you have to pray, you have to work hard, you have to just work on your marriage. But with time, I did realize that this was not going away. This was irreconcilable. And I was getting depressed. I was starting to also work too much. I think I would spend so much time in the office, probably even get home at 10, and just to get away from the whole mess. But somewhere along the way, I got the courage to say no and to leave the marriage. But with leaving the marriage means that the business, which was a joint business, and I was the one who was running it, and I wasn't willing to work with him because I was really hurt and upset, and I really didn't see how I could be able to work with him. So what we did is we split the business in half. I took the linens and decor, and he took the tents and chairs and tables, just because that was his passion was the tents, tables, chairs. Mine was the linens and decor. So whoever brought the idea, we just split it. We split the ideas. So as I sat down, depressed and happy, mourning because it was not an easy process, I was ready to give up on the whole business thing. But a friend of mine came home and talked to me and put some sense in me and told me, look, this will go away. With time you will heal, but you need to keep doing that which you love. So I was like, yeah, you're right. I need to keep doing that which I love, because from what I know, if I keep doing what I'm passionate about, the money will keep coming in, and I will not be, doing something just for the money. I will be working because I love what I'm doing. So I decided to continue. So with the linens and decor, as I sat down thinking about the name, what shall I call it? Should I call it this? I'm like, but I have the linens and the decor, so I'll call it linens and decor. So I called someone who registered the name, and my clients were still calling me. And so I started picking the calls again. I started meeting with the clients. I went back to my SQ, because before this, I'd even gotten an office. But after the split, everything was closed down. So I had to start again from scratch, from my home, from the SQ. But because I'd already made a name for myself, people didn't mind coming to my SQ. So I had high-end clients who were still coming. And I remember in that season, my mom had also retired from working in the bank after 26 years, and she had some amount of money that they gave her. So she came and she told me, hey, take me around, I'd want to buy a house with this money. So I told her, okay, I know the nice houses are in Karen. Come and show you the ones I've seen in Karen. And as we went around, we reached this one property, and it had a pergola. And immediately I saw a movable tent. At the time, there were no movable pergolas at the time. So I didn't even tell her anything. It just registered in my mind. So when we were done, I think the following week, I divinely got a client who came into my office, my SQ, my little SQ with my big desk and no space. And she sat down across and she asked me, hey, I really want something unique. So I told her everything that was in the market in terms of tent. She's like, no, I don't want the stretch tent, I don't want the dome tent, I don't want the marquee. I just want something different. So I told her, okay, whatever is different is in my mind. I have not made it, but I have an idea. So she told me, how could you illustrate it? So I took my pen and paper, drew it, and even did the whole vining and the decorations and showed her. And she was like, wow, this is what I want. This is exactly what I want. And I sat there looking at her like, okay, so I don't know how much it costs. She told me to do this. You go, cost it, tell me, I'll pay. So I told her, give me 2 weeks, because I'll have to find out how much the materials will cost. I have to meet with fundis. It's going to take a longer time than me just quoting what I already have. She said, no problem, you take your time. So immediately I went first, I sat down and had to design it, to do the structural design on pen and paper. Then I asked around. I actually called a fundi that I knew who was helping us build a home with my ex-husband. And I told him, he was a chuma fabricator, but he was good. So I called him, I told him, look, I have this wooden tent that I need to do. It's a pergola. I told him, the ones that stick out as a veranda or they're done permanently in gardens? He told me, yeah. So I told him, look, it's something different. This one is going to be movable. Like, it will have to be set up and removed in pieces and easy to carry. So he told me, I don't know anyone, but I think I can try and help you. You just come and meet me. So I went and met him and showed him, and he started helping me to do that work. So he helped me source the wood, and then he told me, but we don't know how this thing will stand. So I told him, you don't worry, you just do the structure as we've agreed, then call me. So that was the funniest part of this whole thing, because I went and I met 4 men holding the 4 poles, and they were looking at me like, okay, now you've spent all this money doing this, how is it gonna stand, you know, without falling? So again, with no knowledge, architectural knowledge, or, you know, structural engineering knowledge, immediately it came to me. And I'm like, I told him, look, you just go. I told him what to do. I can't give the secret of what I did. So I told him exactly what to do and how it was going to stand. And they actually made it, and the tent was able to stand. And that's how the business took a new turn. So I decided that I was going to just be doing that, the structures and the decor design, and it immediately became a niche. Like no one else had the structure. So but at the time I had not, because I'm not an accountant. I'm a designer, and I'm very passionate about what I do. I never focused on the business side of the business, the marketing, the expansion, you know, and I honestly was trying. I did try to do a few courses, but along the way I'd get bored, or along the way it wasn't my thing. So it's at this point when I was trying to push this product, and I didn't know what was wrong. I knew I had a good product, a unique product. Everyone was happy about the product, but the money was not making sense. The cash flow was not making sense. It was at this point that I met a friend of mine, and she told me, hey, look, there's this, because I was, at that time, I was probably divorced for 3 or 4 years. She told me, hey, there's this guy that you should probably meet. So come to church, maybe you may meet them. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll try. So I went, but in the process, I met someone else. And it was that person that we became friends with, and he's the one who actually ended up teaching me about the business side of things. And once he did that and we partnered, that's when the business was able to grow, because now I could focus on what I was good at, and he was able to help me with the other side of things. And that person ended up being my husband.